there was not an ultimatum given, but what do you do when your wife says what was your quote?
I hate kissing a beard.
I hate kissing your beard. It was a urine.
Okay. I hate kissing you. I don't like the beard. I think more ladies out there probably agree with me when all the men are like, whatever, you caved.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, you're the only one I care who actually cares, but I do miss my beard. Just saying. I know it wasn't the coolest beard.
What are your hands doing now?
What do you mean, what are my hands doing? Oh.
They've got nothing to...
Nothing to groom? Nothing to groom? Yeah, Chris, I got a baby face. Victor, hey, what's up? Paul Race, Chris Mooney, good to see you. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, pretty much everyone who watches this the beard was like a very new thing. And so most of you, like, you're used to this version of Jason, but he's all concerned now for the people that we've met in Bangor now have only known him as bearded Jason. So
yeah, now
they're not going to recognize me
I'm going to have to
anymore.
reintroduce myself to so many people. Hey, Dwight, good evening. How you doing? You know, I'm going to have to reintroduce myself, right? I mean, that's basically, I'm that guy. I'm the dude who looks different now.
Oh, and so now I know that every single person's going to hear that my wife told me to shave it off.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a bad guy in this story, and it's the person
me.
to my left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard. I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, but
all the way as he was sulking up the stairs with his razor, I said, I am not telling you to do this.
That's not true.
That's so true.
She was like, you going to go shave your beard?
Those words never came out of my mouth.
You didn't tell me to.
Just the words. I hate kissing the beard.
I mean, what do you do with that, guys? I mean, I want to kiss my wife, and if she hates kissing my beard, what am I supposed to do with those words?
Cassie had a wonderful perspective on this earlier, saying, look at the bright side of that statement. She still wants to kiss you.
What do you mean?
As in, like, she's like, yay for your marriage. Your wife still wants to kiss you. So
you didn't want to kiss me, though. You hated kissing my...
No, but she's saying that the fact that I want to in the beard was causing a damper on that means it's a good thing. Our marriage would be in trouble if I was like, whatever. I don't like kissing the beard, but that's not a problem because I don't want to kiss you.
Oh, man. Now, here comes my boys all pig piling on me. Now, the girls were all like, yeah, you look better without the beard. And then all the guys were like, man, your beard sucks. Mike Little's like, it wasn't much of a beard anyways. And then Monty's like,
I saw that.
It's not a beard. or something like that. And then I called him an ass. And he says, no, it doesn't look like an ass. Oh, God. I'm glad we get to start with some lighthearted stuff before we roll into the doom and gloom of today. You know, if my biggest problem was my beard being shaved today, I guess I had a pretty good day.
You had a pretty good day. And it was beautiful today.
It was beautiful.
Good old Maine.
Actually, depending on whatever 5-minute interval you were outside.
No, welcome to Maine.
So I'm learning here that in Maine, it's not like Virginia. Virginia, right now, it's hot to hotter. Here, it goes from step into the sun, you're hot. Take it off, you're off your sweatshirt. Step into the shade, cloud goes behind, or the sun goes behind a cloud. 20-degree difference.
Yes, I had to explain to him that it's rarely that the air temperature itself is actually warm enough in Maine. It's just when you're in the sun.
Crazy, man. It's crazy. So anyways, the things I do like about Maine, the weather is the bomb. I mean, it's still cold at night here, man, in June. I mean, that's epic.
I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I'm screwed.
I dig that there's not a lot of people here. I mean, Bangor is a cool town, but there's still not a lot of people here. Like all the nonsense that's going on everywhere else, not so much here. Very, 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 very little half-hearted garbage going on here.
Yeah. Well, I know that when Trump's plane landed here last week or whatever it was, he got greeted by a pretty good sized crowd.
Yeah, I think they outnumbered the bad guys like 10-1.
But yeah, I was going to say there were some of the protesters.
Yeah,
there.
But they were outnumbered 10-1, so they didn't act a fool. Some other things I like about Maine, the fact that you can do like 80 everywhere here. Like you just make one left, doing speed limit 70.
The first relationships that he has made effort to forge here are with all of the surrounding police departments.
Yeah, I wanted to know the lay of the land.
Because he's driving 80 everywhere.
I am not. Guys, if you're watching this, that's not why I went in there to meet you. I went in to offer up my services as an asset in the area. So that's cool. The people are awesome up here, man.
Yes.
They remind me an awful lot of team guys as a whole. They're rugged, outdoorsy people. I mean, you're shaking hands, you're not getting a lot of lotiony hands, if you know what I'm saying.
Not that we're supposed to be shaking hands right now.
Right. But we're shaking hands anyways. That's what the what's it called for? The disinfectant.
The Lysol?
The Lysol, the hand sanitizer.
Yeah, sanitizer.
So anyways, that stuff's good. But let me tell you what Maine sucks at. Grocery stores.
You've only seen a small selection.
The grocery stores here absolutely blow. They blow. Their selection blows. Their deli blows. Their meat counter sucks.
We have Hannaford's here.
Hannaford's, I don't know how you're still in business. Wegmans or Harris Teeter need to open up here because, man, do they suck.
You should try a few different ones.
I can't even get a good salsa up here right now. Never mind. But you can get maple syrup, like 40 different companies all from Maine. So
some blueberries, authentic blueberries.
So my peeps here from Maine, is Shaw's better than Hannaford? Because Hannaford sucks that I got to go to Shaw's. I can't even find like Boar's Head Deli meat or anything like that. Like Lauren went out and got the deli and it was slimy, shiny, weird, rubbery tasting roast beef and it was nasty. So everybody else here up in Maine, you can tell me where the heck you guys grocery shop because Hannaford's and Brewer,
not so much.
Not so much. And I got to wait in line to go in there because they're like Nazis with the who goes in and out.
They're doing all of this strict social distancing. It's not call names.
But Virginia, we didn't do any of that stuff. You could walk into Target, Walmart, to grocery stores, none of that stuff. We roll here and it's like,
and you've been pleasantly surprised by how few cases Maine has. So
Maine does have a lot of few. Yeah,
let's not throw some shade right now.
Yeah, it's just been really different, culturally. Like Maine is taking this, but restaurants are starting to open up here, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. People who are in other states, how are things looking as far as
like
social
back in Virginia,
activity?
Is like are restaurants back open? Is it only outdoors? Like what's going on? Yeah. So Chris says yes. Hannaford, thumbs down. So you go to Shaw's, right, Chris? All right. I'm going to Shaw's from here on out. I'm going to the orange store.
My name.
Yeah, it is your name. You got any stock in Shaw's?
No, I don't.
Is it like any relatives, anything?
No. It's not my people.
Oh, man.
Should be my people.
We won't even get into the schmuckers.
No, we're not going to get into the schmuckers.
We're not going to get into her mom's love life.
Oh, my God. Stop. Do not even begin to put that out. No. Not cool. Oh, my God. Sorry, Dad.
No, I mean, I don't know what.
Stop.
Anyways, all right. So enough stuff. So we got some great people. Kenny Dean on here, man. How are you doing? How is the school doing? I hope you guys are making plans to get back to normal. Oh, man. Olivia Houston says Shaw's is bad. Hannaford only for me. Hoping that Aldi's will come this way. Market Basket is here. Not bad. Is that where you get cold cuts? I mean, I'm looking for like a butcher. I'm having to go in like half on a cow to get like good meat because holy smokes. Like everything's like $20. Like The
Well,
thinnest.
that's everywhere right now. I mean,
I
meat,
don't know. It wasn't that way in Virginia when we left.
but it was just starting. I mean, so okay.
Chris Kyle,
Now that
what
we're
up?
in the
Stay
main
safe, brother.
bubble, are you all seeing the jack up in meat prices from all the COVID stuff that they said was going to happen? Let us know if you're paying $20 a pound for London broil.
Like London broil, man. They could give it. We were getting 2 for 1 like a month and a half
Yeah,
ago.
they couldn't give it away before.
So,
Not so
John
much.
Cummings, Chris Cobb, good to see you guys. So let's roll into what I wanted to get into tonight, which is the continuing of the absolute disgusting war on police. As all of you know, there was a justifiable shooting done by a police officer in Georgia. And the mob, which mobs do when you start trying to appease them, is just running with whatever narrative they want. If you look at the dash footage, they get a call. So here's the story if you go to CNN. Police kill man sleeping in car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not even close to what freaking happened.
Well, I think the fact that this is on the tails of the Floyd incident and everything that's going on, if this had been isolated and not when everything was like blown up the way it is right now, it probably wouldn't have gained as much attention or it's piggybacking on emotions right now.
It's piggybacking on emotions, but the problem is they're invalidating their whole argument by getting outraged over everything.
It's already been invalidated.
Yeah.
So it's,
I understand that, but so here's the story, guys. A felon who was serving 7 years for beating up his wife and child or something like that got out for COVID-19 and got blasted and passed out in a Wendy's drive-thru. So customers couldn't get through to the window because homie had passed out in the drive-thru lane. So they call the police. The police get him out of there. They're really calm and cool. They're very polite. He goes through the breathalyzer.
Talked to him for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're sitting there. He blows over, fails the sobriety test. They go to take him in custody. He turns around calmly, puts his hands behind him. They pull out the cuffs, and then the fight's on. So now he's rolling with 2 white officers. They look white. I don't know. I haven't screened their DNA and their genealogy. But, and he's housing both of them. Like, homeboys need to learn how to fight. But
yeah.
Anyways, I mean, if they fought, it would have been police brutality there, right? Imagine if they had hurt him there. So anyways, they fight. He blasts one of them. And then he is wrestling with them, grabs one of their tasers, and now he's running away with a taser in his hand. One of the cops is giving chase, and he turns, and you can actually see him fire the taser. You see the smoke from the discharge of the taser. So the bad guy is trying to tase the cop. He fires the taser, and then the cop lights him up with his pistol, and he dies. And somehow this cop got fired for this. This cop got fired for that. If that cop gets fired and they're talking about charging him for murder for that, everybody on the police department just needs to either resign or bang in or go on a strike because you cannot do your job. From now on, you're going to have to get shot before you can shoot back.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know that there's already been some cops that have kind of stepped back kind of in solidarity with these officers and stuff in addition to in other units around the country as far as in association with these. I know I told you about the entire SWAT team in one Florida city resigned from the SWAT team because their chief had knelt with the protesters. So, I mean, this has gone insane. Like, they've totally created an artificial reality where facts don't matter, statistics don't matter, nothing matters, and it's just this crazy freaking world that we live in now. And if the average citizen doesn't rise up and start supporting your law enforcement tooth and nail, right, and voting, if you vote for anybody with a D in front of their name, you are part of the problem. There is not a Democrat on this earth you should support right now because they're all screaming defund. And if they're moderate, when it comes time to vote, they won't moderate. It's over.
There is only one hope you have right now from not having Chaz happening in every city. Or
it's CHOP now.
CHOP. a country within Seattle, 6 blocks where a bunch of Fruit Loops decided that they were going to, imagine if a bunch of right-wingers rolled up and said, hey, we're going to take over 6 blocks in New York City.
Heavily armed.
They got AKs and ARs and, there's all kinds of garbage going on there. There's been reports of rapes and extortion and, blackmailing and then walking around, and collecting monies from businesses to operate. And, I saw that their warlord, whatever his name is, the rapper.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't do what I say, I'm going to blow your brains out. So, hey, I'm going to, so you displaced Seattle PD with a warlord who was a rapper last week as your police force.
Mm-hmm. I saw there was an interview with one of the business owners. I came in at the end or middle, so I'm not sure what he did, but he said most of his business is in the morning, so maybe a coffee shop or something.
Yeah.
And so he was acting like things were pretty cool. Like he was like, things, really aren't that bad. My business hasn't been all that impacted. People are, obviously, we're trying to find suppliers who are willing to come in and encourage. But then a later interview or kind of discussion was talking about what business owner right now is going to speak out.
Yeah, you're going to speak out and say that. Yeah, I'll be like, yeah, it's terrible. They're torturing
under
me.
Siege right now.
Yeah,
and that they'll just burn it down.
Yeah, well, here's the problem: is that the mainstream media now is no longer media. They are no longer news. They are propaganda. 100% dysfunctional liberal propaganda. If you watch ABC, NBC, CBS, you pick one. It's propaganda right now. And if your parents are watching that, and you're gonna have to start preaching the truth at them. One of the things that I applaud. I moved to Maine for a pastor in a church, and Ken Graves. I'll tell you what. He gets up there and I'm going to start sharing some clips, some highlights from his sermons. He weighed in on the war on police. He said that there's a lie being told that black men are being hunted. He's like, there are people being hunted and it's police. Police are being hunted down and executed in the street. In the street. It's no longer rare. Yeah. Every day I wake up, I expect to hear cops being ambushed.
That one in Las Vegas is paralyzed from the neck down. That was shot in the neck, in the head.
Seriously, I really think that PDs need to do the blue flu. Just call in for a week. Mm-hmm. Until the public says we were wrong and we're sorry. Come back.
Well, we're going to be seeing it shortly there's such a discrepancy too. And the left right now doesn't seem to be in agreement on what to fund the police means. Some people says, it just means moving around some money to kind of support them by being able to have people who are more, specialties in other areas outside of the law enforcement.
They're cutting $1 billion from NYPD.
Right. And then there's the true to fund the police movement.
What'd you say? 600 plainclothes cops?
Yeah. So the anti-crime division, the plainclothes cops in the city, 600 of them, they completely shut down that division. Just
so you guys know, plainclothes police officers are the proactive police officers. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that prevent crime from happening.
Yeah. So they're like, now people are like, okay. Before it was, okay, we don't see a cop as in a cop in uniform, but there might be some around us, so we still should mind our manners. Or
they're undercover and they're gathering.
But now they're going to say, okay, we don't see a cop in a uniform. That means that there's not a cop here, so we can go about our debauchery.
Right.
So.
What's going to happen is this is all going to be electronic in the end, and it's just going to be Big Brother and bugs and phones and everything else out there, and you'll go commit the rape, you'll go commit the murder, and then
you might be on camera somewhere.
You'll be on camera somewhere, or no, I don't know. That's if there are any more crimes, right?
In what what might count as a crime
how are they
anymore.
going to arrest them? Because unless anybody who resists now, you're supposed to. I mean, it looks like you're supposed to let them get away. They can go kill anyone. They can go do whatever they want, and you can't stop them.
Well, I think in some instances they would say that you're justified, but I think the problem is we're talking about we have two different definitions of things. Like, what is unarmed these days? Like the whole thing about the Atlanta shooting is they called him an unarmed black man, but he had the taser.
He had a taser,
and so what
he
is
was not
armed only if you have a gun in their world? Other than that, you don't count as armed. Is that how they're justifying calling him an unarmed?
I have no idea what.
Or it wasn't his
alternate
own
universe.
weapon. He just took it, so
I don't know.
he wasn't armed until that moment.
Yeah, I don't know what alternate universe they're living in, and I just everyone you need to right now. You need to just go out. If you don't have a firearm, you better get one. If you have a firearm, you better buy ammo. You better get your family trained. You better get trained. You better get an alarm system. You better get cameras. You better minimize your movement in areas where idiots are going to be blocking the freeway or blocking access. And start doing some of the things we're talking about, like carrying giant fire extinguishers or bear spray in your car so you can blow through those things. There was some amazing footage of a Hispanic male, I think driving through, was it Seattle? Was it LA? I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere on the West Coast. But he's rolling down the street, and his windows down are either broken. It's probably broken from what I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. And he runs into this crowd, and as soon as he stops, this giant black dude starts like thrashing, trying to get him up and like pull him through the window. Mm. And he immediately draws his pistol and smokes him. Mm-hmm. And then, like, everyone around the car isn't sure what to do. And he gets out and he's waving his gun around. And he melts into the crowd. And then he goes over a few streets and turns himself into the police.
Oh, interesting. So how would you break that down?
Well, I don't know why he was driving that way. Like, there was so many Monday morning quarterbacks. Oh, he should have turned around. I don't know if it's a one-way street or not. Mm-hmm. There was so many people there in no hope. Mm-hmm. Right? So at some point, I don't know what started it, where he accelerated. Like, when we put out our guide, right? Of course, I got some freaking hobbyist on a Second Amendment, thing. A know-it-all who's never served a day in the military and never done anything. Like, say, I'll just carry my 9mm everywhere and blah, 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 and this and that. And all. I'm like, ever drove through D.C.?
Yeah.
Ever drove through New York City?
Right.
Ever drive cross country and you can't? No, you don't, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You can't always have your gun with you everywhere, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And if you do, you're running risk of a felony.
Yeah.
So, anyways, trying to give people answers when they're going through these types of places. Not everyone deserves to get shot. People standing in front of your car don't deserve to get shot.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Could you pepper spray them and articulate that? If they started trying to do some harm to you, can you start articulating fear? We've all seen enough footage now that you can say you're in fear for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the beat downs that happen.
Yeah, the beat
the
downs.
Mob mentality group.
Yeah, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, you're going to be tried. You're going to have a defense because they're going to call you a terrorist if you use your vehicle as a weapon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially if you use your car.
Oh,
so I don't know if Mike Little's still on here, but Scott had a question if anyone had heard anything about Myrtle Beach becoming very rough. So I don't know if.
Well, Myrtle Beach can be pretty rough, particularly during some bike weeks.
Have you heard anything about it associated with what's going on right now?
I have not. It hasn't been on my radar, but Mike is not too far from there. So if Mike Little's on, he can sound off and say if he knows anything going bad in Myrtle Beach. But right now, guys, I mean, now it's time not to be traveling anywhere unless you're going somewhere desolate. Now is the time to unleash your inner woodsman.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the time to go to Vegas. It's not the time to go to L.A. It's not the time to go to Hawaii.
Coronavirus kind of helps with all that stuff, too.
Yeah. It's time to go to the deep woods, get yourself a nice little cabin on a lake like we got, and just chill.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Right?
So what do you think about, I mean, so as part of this efforts to change policing and all that, there's talk about, at least in some cities, they're exploring this kind of tag teaming a police officer with a social worker so that both roles would respond to certain calls, so that you have someone who can enforce the law with a police officer, but you also have someone who's a little bit more skilled in potential kind of de-escalating or navigating the emotional aspects that police themselves, I think, as you've articulated, they get kind of thrown in on some situations that they're not even trained for or really paid for.
Well, it all depends on compliance, right? So part of me sits there and thinks, great. So am I there as their security detail?
I have no idea what the details would be.
If I'm there as a security detail, then great, you deal with the insanity. I'll just sit here, and if anything goes sideways, I'll protect you, or if I whatever, or if I see any laws being broken or whatever. There's that, but then depending on who you get paired with, I mean, it's just going to be nothing but red tape, liability, and it's just.
Yeah, I didn't know if the thought would be.
Awful.
Tim Terry said that's comical. We tried that; doesn't work. They get in the way. I was going to say, I wonder.
Totally.
Like now you have someone else that you would have to watch out for.
Somebody else you have to watch out for. Somebody else who's there from a different perspective on it. It's police are only there to solve crimes and make it safe, right? I'm not there to be your friend. I'm not there to hug you. I'm not there to repair your car. I'm not to do anything. I'm there to get your car out of the road because it's dangerous for you and other people going by you. I am there to, now guys go above and beyond and do stuff all the time, and good on them.
Yeah.
But that is not their role. Their role is safety.
Right. So I think the thought is that is not their role. So therefore, having someone who's a little bit more immediate on the scene with them.
Well, then why are you calling 911? You should be calling like the counselor line.
It's probably for situations that are legitimate to have an officer there, but some of these ones that they feel like could be handled.
So let me go over the top 10 calls. Domestic, someone beating somebody else. Is that a law enforcement matter, or is that a counselor matter?
I'm going to agree with you probably on everything you're about to list, that they're a law enforcement. I don't know enough about, I've just heard in multiple
fantasy.
times.
It's stupid.
I'm sure it probably
Frickin'
is.
fantasy.
That's why I was asking your opinion.
I mean, you've got firefighters and EMTs that won't even respond to places until we secure the scene and make it safe for them. It's part of their
John
contract.
Boyle.
Yeah, darn fireman. Good to see you, Peter Joyce. Good to see you, Michael. And Tim always. It really just comes down to, do we want to have someone to call 911? Or are we all on our own? Is it vigilante justice now? Because that's what it'll be. I mean, I saw a bunch of dudes in Philly with baseball bats patrolling the streets to make sure that places didn't get tagged up and all that stuff. Groups of like 50 with bats.
Yeah.
I mean, is that how we're going to do this? Are we all going to stand up militias again? That's if you want. That's when you're going to get hangings and lynchings and beatdowns and murders and all those bad things, because it's going to be mob justice.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Kind of the counter of that.
Yeah. There's they're not going to be restrained and calm and cool and have, cameras monitoring them and microphones.
Let the system work it out.
Let the system work it out. They're not trained. They're not professionals. They're not anything. Being a cop sucks. It sucks. It's the hardest job in America. It sucks. You start on Monday, from your first call, you're dealing with other people's worst day the whole time, and they're just dumping their garbage on you over and over and over and over and over, and they hate you. Even though you're there to help. Sometimes you're there to arrest them, and of course they hate you because you're the consequences, because they just broke their wife's jaw.
Right.
Or lit their kid on fire. Or beat them with a rolling pin.
And these all calls that you respond.
Yeah, that's all terrible stuff. Throwing boiling water on kids. Go ahead. What are you supposed to go hug that felon? You know, there's a war going on in America right now, and it's not even a Cold War anymore. It's I mean, I guess it still is a Cold War because it hasn't broken out, but we're in the middle of the second Civil War right now. If you ask me, I used to say we're too close. We're the opening shots have already been fired. You've got, riots in the streets. Those are the brown shirts during, the Nazis going out and beating the hell out of anyone who disagreed with them. That's Antifa, and people just have to understand that, come November, you're either on the side of cities burning down, right? That Wendy's where that guy passed out, that got burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
Like it's their fault that some freaking drunk passed out in the driveway.
Yeah, that it just happened to happen on their property.
So let's burn that down. I mean, that's the level of sophistication you're dealing with here. You're truly dealing with evil incarnate. So what does it mean to you and your family? It means that, if you live in a bad part of town or you live on the outskirts, where this stuff could happen, you need to go. Break your lease, get out, go move away. That's my advice to you. Shop way far away and then come home if that's what you got to do. Did you see the footage of like 10 gangbangers in a shootout?
No.
In the middle of the street in D.C.?
No.
Yeah. I mean, you got people running around, shots firing. I don't think anyone was hit because all of them, doing the gangbanger, marksmanship.
Yeah, but
and then like they hear a siren and people are dumping their long guns in cars and like walking around like it's all chill. The cops roll up there. They don't roll up there with guns out. Like, hey man, what's going on? I mean, it's just, yeah.
Coming to a city near you.
Yeah. And, and the thing is between now and November, it's just going to get worse. Like, I mean, if they can turn this shooting in Georgia into something, they can turn anything into something.
Mm-hmm. I think the fact that he was running away is what's giving them some legs on it, although not legitimate because you can clearly see him holding his arm back and aiming that taser and shooting the taser.
Right. He fires.
But for them, he was shot in the back, and that means he was running away. And so that just escalates the whole emotions about it because without them looking into the rest of the details, it sounds bad.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There is no level of training that's going to help those cops outside of them beating the crap out of him, which would have been another charge. Because then... why can't you tickle him into handcuffs?
Well, I mean, especially because the build up to it seemed to be incredibly pleasant. Like they did all of, how you said that it was a skill to talk people into handcuffs. You said a lot of times. And it sounds like they took the time.
I watched them. They were polite. They were cool. He was cool, but he was a felon and he was going back to jail because he should have been in jail for 7 years.
Yeah.
And he got out because of COVID.
Yeah.
More stupidity.
Yeah.
So
it's
just
funny thinking about that if he was still in jail, he'd still be alive.
But the thing is like people understand, like, everyone wants to beat up on the unions, and I've beat the unions up enough on my own. But they're the only ones who are going to stick with this guy. And unfortunately, he's in the South. He probably doesn't have a union, or he has a joke of a union, and no one's going to fight for him. And that's why he needs it, because the city already fired him for doing his job, for following their playbook. Everything he did was by the book.
Yeah, yeah.
And now they want to charge him with murder? No one's going to convict him.
Right, which will, I mean, they might do the quick fix to appease by charging him. But then at the point that he's found not guilty because of it, that's just going to come back tenfold.
Tim Terry said fleeing felon, danger others. Yeah, and he turned and he fired. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, man. You won't want to train the cops. Train the damn thugs to not resist arrest. Mm-hmm. Oh, but if they do that, they can't sue. It's all a big game, people. Well, and then they want you to overreact so they get a bad picture during their booking, and they can sue, and this, they'll get you to
So
make one
they
mistake.
have their picture with the cuts on the face and
they
everything.
can sue you for excessive force, and they get a big paycheck and disability for life.
And Mike Lee.
The big disability.
Mike Lee, where are you? Watching your stream and shots fired during a late night protest half a mile away.
Man.
Where are you coming from, Mike?
Sorry, Mike.
But there was the clip of the interview, I think it was CNN or something. The woman saying that he had to run away because if he had stayed and complied, that's when his life was going to be at risk and being arrested.
Yeah.
So he had to fight for his life.
Yeah, that's the thing. So not every time, like
Virginia Beach.
Oh man, sorry to hear that, Mike. Yeah, my old hometown there for a long time, with many people here. Man, so now they're basically telling you that if you're going to get arrested, you need to flee, and which causes fight. So now you have to escalate the scenario to where somebody has to die because they're just going to murder you otherwise.
That's the narrative.
Yeah, I saw that. That is what CNN put on TV. CNN let one of their guests say that unchallenged.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they couldn't control that she said that, but then they didn't let it. They let it go.
They let it go, and it should have been on TV saying that is not what happened in any manner or form. We're not advocating. That should have been like a massive decry.
Yeah.
Like, hey, commercial break. That person's an idiot. We're not saying that. No, none of that. Why? Why? Because they want us at each other's throat. They want the races to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because we're taking the bait.
Yeah. So Tucker put out the results of a study tonight that Black Lives Matter as an organization now has significantly more polling support than the president, either of the political parties, and like Congress as a group, et cetera, et cetera. They were ranking with like 63 something like that % approval rate, whereas Trump's at 40 something, and Congress is obviously like scraping the bottom and all of this stuff. And he's like, it's just incredible that as a group, and like you're not allowed to contest that. If you say anything counter to even the name of the movement, then he's like, whereas any other, now if they're basically calling themselves a political party in their own right, you should be able to criticize them or to offer counterpoints as you do with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the president or whatever. But no, you're not allowed to.
Who are they polling?
I'm not sure who was polled in that. But I'm wondering, though, if I would have to see kind of how they wrote the language of the study. I think a lot of people support the thought or the phrase Black Lives Matter without necessarily tying it to or knowing all of the parts of what the group Black Lives Matter does or means or stands for. So you probably have like a lot of the people who've jumped on board recently just saying, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Of course I support that. And they, so I'm wondering if there's any kind of, in that study, whether people don't really know the full picture of what the movement or the group Black Lives Matter is.
I'm sure they don't, because so many people are low information voters.
Right. So if they knew that,
if they watch mainstream media, Black Lives Matter is like the greatest thing ever.
So as far as saying,
Gandhi,
for all of the things
MLK,
that they stand for,
Jesus, they're all members of BLM.
right?
Right, and assassinating officers in Dallas, and beating down Trump supporters, and inflicting violence and everything else that goes on with that organization.
Yeah, I guess one of the things is legalizing prostitution or something like that.
Yeah, whatever.
They've lumped a lot of stuff into it that's not.
Yeah, everybody's got to get a piece of it.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's what goes on with this madness. And we got to put up with it till November. And then all of a sudden, it's all going to go away.
Right.
Democrats won't need their votes, and it'll just go away.
Well, we'll see what happens.
They'll get in there. They'll throw some, if God forbid, holy smokes, God forbid, Biden wins, he'll do some like big initiative, whatever, and then back to cronyism.
Yeah.
Getting rich, milking us all for everything they can. It's just sad, man. It's just sad. I wish I had a lot more answers for everybody. The only answer I have is prepare. Prepare with everything you got. Because any day now you're in the grocery store, you could get involved in one of these stupid blockades. And if you don't sterilize your car, you get a Trump sticker on your car, and now it's you being beat down in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Or worse, you're in a car wreck and there's a protest and your wife or child is bleeding out because they won't let an ambulance by.
Yeah, that's happened before.
Right? That's what's going on.
Is a med kit in the car?
Yep, med kit in the car, but someone's hurt bad enough and they're not letting ambulances through. I mean, my God. I mean, like how there isn't active shooters every day now, raining down on the frustration that's out there is a miracle.
Well, it's showing a lot of restraint, isn't it?
It is. It shows
by all of those
I
gun-toting people.
I can't believe that there isn't more drama.
Yeah.
Tim Terry saying Virginia Beach oceanfront owners want more police patrol on Atlantic Avenue. That was on the news today. Business owners, of course they do,
Don't blame
man.
them, yeah.
Who the hell would go to Virginia Beach right now on vacation? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
No
go
way.
anywhere.
I mean, your best bet is like Disney.
It's just so, this weird connection between the coronavirus stuff and then this is like these poor businesses, and I've said this before, that they were just starting to get the chance to ramp up and get back to even a tiny piece of normal. But as you said, who's going to go to these places that now we are allowed to go because of the pandemic that we hadn't been allowed to, but now people won't go because of safety reasons, for other kinds of safety reasons. And just so hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, things are starting to get better for us, but for many more, it's not. The other thing I want to talk about, and Mike just asked a good question on how we're settling in the state of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing you can do, and I'm negligent, and I got to get better at this, is you can pray for our country, and you can pray for our president, and you can pray for healing. I know our church is literally doing a prayer watch where 24 hours a day somebody is praying for the country in half-hour blocks.
And there's fasting on Wednesdays, or pick a day.
So a lot of people, a lot of prayer warriors trying to get to move this, to try to be a part of this solution. Churches right now need to lead. Unfortunately, pastoral cowardice is the norm, and they won't. They're just going to get up there and appease their donors and not say the truth. Thank God we have a pastor with some courage.
I was thinking about that today. It's like I've listened to a few different pastors and, attempting to talk about this in some kind of way. And, they generally all will start by saying, God put it on my heart to address this or to say what I'm about to say. And then they all come at it from different angles. So it's like trying to figure out kind of who to listen to or for people who don't know really what to believe or what to think, but if they're all saying God put it on their heart, but then it's very different messages, kind of what do you do with that?
Well, you can either trust them believe what they're saying or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, my problem is that most of them are buying into a lie. That black cops are out, or that cops are out there hunting black men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not true.
Right.
The statistics don't bear it out.
Right.
The numbers prove that is not true. So if it's false on its face, then what else? What is really going on? And we're being manipulated because it's an election year. They throw in everything at Trump they possibly can, and this is the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I liked about the reform was a national registry for bad cops.
Oh, interesting.
You know,
yeah.
I think that if someone has got...
Because a lot of times they bounce from department.
Yeah, they bounce from departments or whatever, and you should see a trend. And before that,
Okay.
I mean, I got to look at there's got to be checks and balances on it,
Right.
right? But before that, you know, I've seen guys that shouldn't be on the job.
Mm-hmm. And so when a cop, is it generally that they choose to leave, like they request a transfer?
No, they
or
can get
something?
fired. They can get fired.
So how is it that their history doesn't really follow them when they go from place? Is it that their incidents were not documented in the previous places, or like you're not questioned why you were fired, or how do they get to go to another place?
It depends. They could say, I can fire you, you can resign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then are you going to tell them to call... You're going to tell them to call your buddies. You know, you're not going to tell them, but there should be a way for them to be able to find it. But again, I'm not saying none of these cops that we're seeing right now were from other departments with other problems. You know, they were in their own department.
Right.
You know, so again, the system works. There's always going to be outliers. The system on a whole works. There's 300 million interactions from police. The fact that 10 went bad, real bad this you know, or whatever last year is out of 300 million. I don't even know what percentage that is.
Yeah.
You know, if you bought 300 million ice creams, you get sick and die from at least 10 times in that time. You know, I mean, anything that way. Like, no one is that level of customer service that turns out well in a zero mistake profession on the worst day of your life. I mean, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
But instead, we're going to make them all this stuff. On contract protesters, yeah. So, Mike, there's a bunch of people out there protesting now that police get good contracts and this and that and all that. And, you know.
Say that again? Or explain that?
There are people, and tell me, Mike Lee, if this is what you're talking about, that, you know, collective bargaining. When the police union bargains, they get certain protections and all that stuff as part of their agreement. And now you've got people, you know, protesting that they don't want any collective bargaining. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to make it so undesirable to be a cop that no one will be a cop except for the worst people in this world who want to do it for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's what you're talking about, Mike. You know, my thoughts are, you know, the unions need to do a better job policing themselves, meaning that if you got a turd, you got to get rid of them. My biggest beef in Boston police was that our union was awesome and we couldn't flush turds. So you had guys who did nothing that you just couldn't get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
which is a problem.
Which is a problem. That's the downside, right?
Yeah.
So you got to find the middle ground there.
Yeah.
Then I went down south and worked for a small town county police department, and there was no protections, and it was awful.
Yeah.
The bosses had all the power. The patrol had no repercussions. They had no way to push back on anything. There was no balance, no nothing. It was awful. I'd much rather be in Boston.
Mm.
So, Mike, I hope I answered your question there. As far as settling the Maine, Mike, we're doing great. I'm so happy I did this. My blood pressure is way down. Like I said, I like the people up here. I fit in. My church is amazing. Group of people I'm meeting here are amazing. I've got no complaints. You know, it comes at the cost of, you know, some other things, but it was the best call for the family here.
We have a repeat showing tomorrow at the house.
Oh, yeah, the house went up for
big
sale.
prayers for us tomorrow at 2:00. Someone's going back to look at it again, so we're excited about that opportunity. We're hoping.
Yeah. So we had some people who were going to buy our favorite house of all time. So Mike said no. The thought of people paying people to be protesters. I mean, that's the Democrat Party, bro. That is Bernie Sanders. That is, George Soros. That is them paying to destabilize our country, to reap hate, to drive young people and idiots to the polls, to pull the Democrat lever. That is what they're willing to do. We've gone so far that the Democrat Party is willing to burn places down, willing to kill cops, willing to do anything to get back in power. Why? Because Trump is getting ready to lock a bunch of them up if he wins again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that would have been big headlines.
Yeah, so right now, I hope Comey's in prison for the rest of his damn life.
Won't be.
All right, so Chris has someone here. Let me see. Failure rates are often expressed in engineering notation as failures per million, 10 or 10 to 6, especially for individual components, since the failure rates are often very low. The failure in time, FIT, rate of device, is the number of failure that can be expected in 1,109 device hours of operations. Holy smokes. You're going to have to speak English on that, Chris. My screen's far away, and depending on what sector you're manufacturing for, it could be as high as 3 out of every 100 or as low as 1 out of every million. Yeah, I mean, dude, police work sucks. Zero mistake professions suck. And the fact that there's so much stress, you make one mistake, you lose your life, you lose your job, you lose your living, you lose your freedom, right? And you're there for a good reason because you want to help. Yeah. So Ty used to go to the cop. Now Ty goes to the bad guy. Mm-hmm. So Ty goes to the bad guy. So a couple things that I'm really excited. I did a really long interview with Chad Robichaud, the former UFC champion, who's the head of Mighty Oaks. He's saved thousands upon thousands of veterans' lives.
Quick summary of Mighty Oaks.
Mighty Oaks deals with veteran and first responder PTSD and suicide. Phenomenal organization. They've been around for 10 years and they've saved thousands upon thousands of lives. And he's got a really compelling story, which he shares during the podcast. And I'm in the middle of editing that, and I'll upload that as its own thing. Mm-hmm. As far as our schedule, we're going to start streaming. We're going to be coming to you live Monday and Thursdays. So our goal is on Mondays to recap Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, of everything that happened, and then put out some original content as well. And then on Thursday, we're going to cover what happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll be talking about everything that's going on. And then when I get these interviews, VIPs out there and interesting people, I'll either upload them as their own thing, depending on how long they are, or like tease them in like right now and press play and you can watch them. Mm-hmm. I'm scheduled to interview Colonel Alan West on Thursday. So, awesome. I really want to talk to him about how we heal this country and go forward. I think he's going to have an amazing perspective on this. Mm-hmm. And, I've spoken to him, several times before, and he's not afraid to get in the nitty gritty.
No. Yeah, that's an exciting interview. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, I agree. Being a first responder paramedic is the same thing. One mistake, and you're sued. Mm-hmm. So, so anyways, all this, Candace, the best realtor in the world. Candace, we get an offer. Is that why you get on? Did you get on to tell us we're
on
offer?
Air?
Did you tell us on air we just got an offer?
A full ask, all cash. No demands.
20 over asking, full cash, ready to go.
Oh, Jason's being even greedier than I am.
Why not? It's fantasy here.
It's fantasy. Yeah. She laughed. That's not a good sign. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
So anyway, so we got been watching on YouTube. Great. So you guys, we got some really great interviews coming up. Like I said, I'm going to edit those down, get them to you. Really, really great. We'll be seeing you on Mondays and Thursdays. So I'm going to start chopping up highlights of the stuff and putting it on here and all that stuff.
Thursdays are drinky drink.
Yeah, bring an adult beverage to the Thursday one.
Strength and honor episode.
Yep, where we'll be cheersing out the week day early.
Yeah, we've decided
3-day weekends. I mean, it's Corona-cation. Why not?
Right. We decided to not commit to sacrificing Friday nights every weekend. So Thursday it is.
Yep. All right. So this has been, what do you guys think of the new set? I know it's not the best, but we're really limited in this new house that we're in right now. I know the sound isn't the best. It's a little echoey, but, I tried to sneak in some stuff. None of it's perfect, but I really wanted to, trying to get the setup. We're playing with lights. Guys, we still got boxes everywhere. We're like 25% unpacked still. So I'm going to try to get some lights out there and highlight some stuff, but we're gradually getting better with the set. I think you guys agree?
Yes.
Candace likes it. Well, thanks. At least we got Candace liking it. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless America. May He protect each and every one of us and our families. May He give our leaders the wisdom to get us through these times. We will see you on Thursday. All right. Remember to like, subscribe, go over to YouTube, like, subscribe, please. Thank you. And go to Patreon and support us there. Trident Shield out.
Good night.